Well, we have made some progress and moved on a bit since the last time. I took the last video out because I felt it was too much, was repetitive to what was in the other video. But let's start with the fork legs first of all. And who in their right mind would ever decide to put back a flat bladed screw into that fork leg? Because basically, you know, even after trying to soak them and everything else, they were just so corroded in. In the end, I had to grind the other side of it off, and I'm going to have to drill them out. But I had no choice. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. You can see how rusty it's looking there. Right, but you can see the shape of the fork legs. They are needing a good paint anyway. Of course, the trouble is, when you start mucking about with an old bike, even one that you think, okay, it's only had 3 owners, it's not been through a lot of hands. The last guy had it 18 years. It looks in fairly original, clean condition. But once you start delving into things, you start finding more and more things that you need to deal with. It's just that goes with an old bike. You know, get yourself into that mode, because you quickly realise that there's screws you're going to have to replace, there's things you're going to have to drill out. You know, a 33-year-old bike, you're going to expect there's things you're going to have to put right. So anyway, I'm going to have to replace all these bolts, drill these out. I've got stainless bolts to put in the place of it. Now if we go around here, you begin to see, you know, the signs of age. A bit like myself, you know, if you start shining a torch about me, you'd see all the cracks. Little oil leak there from the gear change, so I'll have a look at that. I'll need to have a look at the manual and see what's involved in taking the cam cover tops off. I don't know if the radiator can be simply swung up, but the radiator's got some paint peeling off it, so it could do with a bit of a tidy up. I might even look at the fact, maybe take it off. I know that's fraught with danger, but I'll maybe have to just take that chance. Quick tip for you, obviously, is get a cable tie. When you take these off, you don't want them hanging around all over the place, so a cable tie just keeps them in place. Another thing to watch out for is when you're taking the fork legs out. When you're taking the fork legs out, there's a groove here, and in that groove there is a spring clip. See there? Spring clip. So make sure you take that off, because the fork, you'll feel the fork sticking solidly, and that's what's holding it. So remember to take them off. Fork legs themselves don't look too bad. They're not leaking or anything. I don't really think I need to change the fork seals, but again, you're in that position where you think, should I? There's the old brake line that I'm replacing, and I did get information and found out that basically the new kit will just replace this link pipe. That won't be needed anymore. Kind of makes sense once you think about it. So fork legs, certainly to get painted, cleaned up and painted. Obviously got to get these rusted in bolts out. I'll replace all these ones that are, you know, getting past their best. Selection of stainless bolts. Handy tip again, you're taking your screws out. Sometimes it's handy if you can put your screws back where you take them out, because especially if they're tricky ones or ones you might not remember. But also I invested in these boxes so that I could, when I was stripping a bike, I really got it for the big project bike that I'll be working on later on. But the idea being that I can put all the nuts and bolts into a box and put it to the corner, and that's it. Still struggling with the cold. The fairing, overall, usual story. This is what we get to. If you look at the inside of that down the bottom there, you can see how rusty those are. And if you look on the other side, so you can see there the shape those are in. So I'm going to have to deal with those, and then I'll get this bit sorted out. Side panels aren't too bad. The trouble with older bikes like this is you're never going to get replacement panels. You're really going to have to repair what you've got. You can see there's a bit of repairing that's going on there at some point. On the inside there, not being done very well, but you can see there's a bit of repair work going on there. And on this one, at the top here, you can see it's burst at the top. Other than that, that's about it. So that's little repairs. That's what you'd expect. The mudguard has been repaired before, but I've managed to find another mudguard, again sadly red, but it looks in really good condition. So I've got that coming, and I'll just get that sorted out and painted. And I'll do what I can with this one as a spare, I suppose. If we look at the wheels were powder coated at some point. I mean, they clean up reasonably well. But you get to that stage where you think, oh, do I do it all now? You know, do I get everything powder coated? But I've talked myself into not doing that. It's not what I set out to do. I set out to service it and clean up what I could while I was at it, and that's what I'm going to do. I'll be changing the coolant, so I'll be draining the radiator anyway. I'll have a look and see what it says in the service book about getting access to this. If I think it's worthwhile, I'll maybe take the radiator out. It'll certainly give me a lot more room to get in there. I would imagine that there's an element where you can sling it out of the way, but of course you've got to watch you don't damage anything. Another tip obviously is cover your tank when you're working up on the handlebars, because all it takes is for your toolkit to slip. And ABBA stand, I mean, how good is this? You know, it's allowing me to tip it up, get into the front end, and I've got loads of great access, and I'll get all this cleaned up. I'll have a look at that gear change oil filter and see what I can do. I'll clean up some of the engine casings and get high temperature paint and just give it a bit of a clean up and a service. That should do that. Overall though, you know, it's not being abused. You know, it's getting on. Even the exhaust system's not too bad for its age. Looks fairly good. It's certainly got a good bit of life in it. It's done 31,000 miles now. It'll be good for another 30,000 miles with just a bit of love. But anybody who's ridden these bikes, who knows the V4s, who knows the gear driven cam ones, you know what I'm talking about. They're priceless. They're just a wonderful experience. It's the only bike now that if Honda were to bring out a brand new one, a 750 cam gear driven bike, or a gear driven cam gear bike of any size, I'd be right in there, because I just love them. They were an absolute gem, and there's a story behind them, and we'll go into that, and people who know them will have heard that a million times. But they really had to rescue it at Honda. Taking the lower fairings off wasn't too bad. I realised I wasn't going to get those screws out, so you know, I ended up just deciding to take it all off as one piece, and I'd worry about that later, and that was the right decision. When you're taking them off, kind of work from the bottom. Take the bottom plate at the corner at the bottom here, it sits under the exhaust. You want to take that off first. You can then kind of loosen the screws that are around the fascia. They're quite obvious. And then you've got a couple of main ones that bolt into the main areas of the frame. They're kind of the last ones you maybe take out. Take some photographs, that's what I've done. I've taken some photographs. Right, so what I've done with this caliper is I did use JB Weld, and I filled the bleed nipple hole. We'll dress it up a bit more. And I am going to rebuild this one, and I've already ordered the banjo bleeding bolt, and I'm actually going to use this caliper and get it all sorted out with new seals and that, give it a paint, so forth. And I'm going to put that back on the bike with the banjo bleeder, and the 2 new calipers, or second-hand ones I bought, I'm going to put new seals in those as well and grease them up and put them away, and they'll either do for the future, or if it's, you know, something happens and I end up selling the bike, then I'll have certainly a very good set of reconditioned calipers that I could probably sell on and easily get my money back and maybe a little bit more. But I'm going to give the banjo bolt a go, because I think it'll be valuable just to show that it actually works, and I'm curious myself. So I am going to use this caliper and put it back on and build it. The original calipers will go back on it. General tidy up. I've got the hoses, the replacement hoses are in here, and this is the new triple connector that will go on to the up here, see where the bolt is there, going on the stock steering stem, bottom steering bracket, that's going to go in there somehow. And I also bought, what did I do with those? What did I do with the drunken sailor? Yes, I bought these rubber lined hose clamps, and they will allow me to, because I'll lose some of the original bracketing, some of this will go obviously because I won't have this bit to be able to put it back on, but these will do the trick, hopefully. I'm not going to paint any of the side panels. I'll clean them up, I'll repair them, I'll put them back on. I might do the bottom part, I might clean that up, that might get a paint. Depends how I get on, because I've got to get paint anyway to do the replacement front mudguard when it comes. So I might do that, I might repair that one and do the same. In fact I might do that one first, actually, as a test piece, and see how I get on painting it. And then I'll do the one that I get as the replacement, and then that'll give me a couple of mudguards. And the same with the brake caliper, I'll do the one that's got the broken bleed nipple first, and just do it all as a bit of a test and see how they turn out. That's it for today. A few wee hours in the workshop. What's the time now? We're bloody watching. Alright, so we've been in it maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most. In that time I managed to strip down the front end and get the forks and that out. But a good start to the service. And again, beauty of the workshop, can walk away and leave it all. These bits I'll put in the garage to get out of my way, so that I've got a clear place to work in. I'll put them on something protective. Right, I'm going to sign off. Have a good evening. Take care. Bye for now.